Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to TheeSportsScoop. We are finally back, and what a way to make our reappearance with some NFL wild card predictions. We're going to be going over all of the wild card games coming up this weekend. Saturday, Sunday, we have a Monday night game. So make sure you guys stay tuned for the video. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow us on social media. As always, I'm joined by my all three co-hosts, all members of TheeSportsScoop are here. I'm Key McDermott. I'm joined by Suraj Kadali, Dylan Shalom, and Charlie Nidell. Gentlemen, how are we feeling?
We're feeling great. Playoff teams unite. This is amazing.
I feel fantastic.
It has
personally.
been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Been a minute.
2016, last time either of us were in.
Yeah.
Fantastic feeling.
Just for some context to all the viewers, me and Charlie Giants fan, Dylan Dolphins fan, Suraj Jets fan. The boys are very excited. Make sure you guys stay tuned. We're going over all the games. Make sure you comment your predictions down below. Without further ado, let's get straight to it. All right, game one. We have the 7-seeded Seattle Seahawks facing their divisional rival for the third time this year in the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, you look at these two teams, and what obviously jumps off the page immediately is the quarterback situation. Geno Smith, first year starting in Seattle, breaks the single-season passing record, beating Russell Wilson. Obviously, the irony there is quite evident. And then we have the San Francisco 49ers, obviously being led by rookie last pick in the draft, Brock Purdy, who has been nothing short of fantastic. Just for what the expectations were for him, he has been very, very good for San Francisco. Charlie, I'll go to you first. What is your outlook and pick for this game?
So I think, two teams that have played each other twice this season already as divisional opponents. The 49ers have taken both matchups, one with, I believe, Trey Lance at quarterback and one with Brock Purdy at quarterback. And Brock Purdy's been, as you said, Kian, nothing short of pretty much perfect for the 49ers. He's undefeated. They brought in Christian McCaffrey. He's been a stellar player for them, and this 49 team look pretty unstoppable, and give me the Niners in this one.
Yeah, I agree. This is a matchup-based game. All divisional playoff games are going to be matchup-based games. Seattle knows how to play San Fran. They've played them twice this season. They've played them twice tough this season. But I think San Francisco wins on their star power. Obviously, Deebo Samuel returns to this weekend. George Kittle has been nothing short of fantastic since Brock Purdy's come in. And then the defense is just full of stalwart players that's going to be able to shut the moment to say that what Brock Purdy's doing at this moment is not normal.
Yeah, of course.
And first of all, not from a 7th round rookie, not from a 1st round rookie, not from a veteran. He has gone into the San Francisco 49ers on 2 weeks of being the backup and a whole season of being the 3rd string, and made the offense better than they were with their number 1 quarterback. He is better than Trey Lance right now, and he is better than Jimmy Garoppolo right now.
Yeah, if I may, I think this has only been seen once before. That's Brady.
Before you guys discredit the 49ers later in the rounds when they go in and they play a tough opponent and say it's because of Brock Purdy, I'm just going to put this out there right now. He is better than the other quarterbacks they have. Fully merited. No recency bias here. And I know it sounds like there is some, but I truly think that Brock Purdy is the best quarterback on this team.
Yeah, I think no matter what quarterback the Niners would be playing, I agree that Brock Purdy is probably the best quarterback on the roster right now. But I think this is, like Charlie said, the easiest matchup to predict. I think Seattle, the previous 2 times they played San Francisco, they've been pretty outmatched offensively, and defensively they're a pretty average unit. I expect Brock Purdy to have, I know it's his first playoff game as a rookie, and that can be scary, but I think it's a light test for him to start out his playoff career. And I think him and the Niners will get it done pretty easily here.
I think you guys are being very, very foolish with this prediction. I don't think this is the easiest game to predict at all. And I actually think Seattle are going to go and win this game. I think Brock Purdy, you look at it, rookie quarterbacks 9-18 in the playoffs. I don't think I think it's a team that knows a Seattle team that knows them. I think Geno Smith has a chip on his shoulder. I think Seattle ended the regular season very well. I don't think in any way, and I don't think you guys think this is an easy game either. I don't think
it's my Super Bowl favorite.
I told you it's going to be a tough game, but I think
love Brock Purdy. Dylan, I agree with your kind of analysis on him. I think he's been fantastic, but for a guy to be the last pick in the draft and lead a team to the Super Bowl, yes, I think it's possible. I think Brock Purdy could do it. And I definitely think this is my hot take pick. Again, I think the playoffs obviously it's the playoffs, so anything can happen. I think, yeah, the 49ers the 49ers are the favorites, but I think this to me is a very, very close one. I think if the Niners win it, I don't think it'll be convincing. I think this game could go to overtime. But I think what the Niners have for him is Brock Purdy understands this team very well. Brock Purdy is not a Mahomes. Brock Purdy is not a Lamar Jackson. Brock Purdy is not a stat quarterback. Brock Purdy gives the ball to George Kittle, gives it to McCaffrey, gives it to Ayuk, gives it to the weapons that he knows will play well, and he does it efficiently. He's not throwing interceptions. He's not a guy who turns the ball over. He gives it to the players that make impacts. And I think that's obviously why he's been so good. And you look at Jimmy Garoppolo and you look at, I guess you can't really even talk about Trey Lance. We haven't seen enough, but Jimmy Garoppolo was not a stat quarterback either. And he led them to a Super Bowl. The difference is Brock Purdy is a rookie. Again, I do jump at picks sometimes. So I bet by tomorrow I'll be like, yeah, that was a dumb pick, but I'm going to go with what I think here. I'm going to go Seattle. I think this game will be very close. And I think the Seahawks will make this a game. That being said, I don't think you guys are dumb with that pick. I do think the 49ers obviously make sense why you pick them there, but we'll move on to the next game. Another very good one. This one I actually find tough to pick, but almost easier than the Seahawks Niners game. We have the 5-seeded Chargers facing the 4-seeded Jaguars. Obviously, turnaround for Jacksonville. You look at obviously even what people were saying about them coming in to this season, spend too much money on receivers that aren't top tier. Trevor Lawrence wasn't even convincing kind of this first half of this season. Obviously, he turned it around, and Jacksonville looked really good. I think, you look at next season, because I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think any of us have this team going very far in the playoffs. But I think Jacksonville, they're a couple more pieces away from being a true contender. And obviously they face a Chargers team that I guess, has been a little bit underwhelming, but you look at two quarterbacks who are extremely, extremely similar, not only in size, but also play style. What is your take on this one? Dylan, I'll go to you first.
I think we're looking at two teams that would lose their playoff matchup if they played any other team in the AFC, but they play each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be an absolutely amazing watch. I'm happy they put it as the night game. It's going to be super fun. Maybe we can go live for it. But I think I'm going to go with the Chargers. And I've never been high on the Chargers at any point of my career as an analyst. Every time I try to say something good about the Chargers, they just go and they change my opinion with a stupid loss to a stupid team. But I think the Jaguars are just jumping the gun a little bit with the hype they're getting, or fans are more likely, because they went into the playoffs. They went 9-8. They won their last, 6 games. Incredible feat. They beat some pretty good teams, but they didn't really convincingly beat any of them.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a playoff team.
Yeah, if you're going to keep Justin Herbert in a game, and as much as I hate on Justin Herbert for fun, for what I agree with, just to piss people off, I think he's just the more seasoned quarterback in this game, and I think the Chargers have the more seasoned roster. So I'm going to go with the Chargers here.
See, I disagree with you that Jacksonville haven't been convincing down the stretch.
No, they have been convincing. I just don't think they've been. I don't think they are commanding the respect that they get.
I see what you're saying.
I think
see what you're saying.
I'm gonna go Jacksonville here, and I agree with you though. That these are two very teams that I would expect to lose to most other teams in the field. But the reason why I picked Jacksonville here is because, I think really the Chargers, like I said, they are a slightly older, and they're a team that was really expected to do a lot this season, but this is their first playoff experience, and they've been, like you said, very, very inconsistent. And Jacksonville are, again, a kind of a new team that also we wouldn't expect to start out to kind of have, at least they don't have experience either. So neither of the teams are really at an advantage for the playoffs. But why I would pick Jacksonville is because I think coaching matters, and I think Doug Peterson absolutely wipes Brandon Staley. He has been very, very disappointing as a head coach this year. Staley and Peterson has really turned around the ship for Jacksonville. He's the reason why they did win the AFC South and why they won their final 5 games, why they're in this position to potentially go to the divisional round. And I think he will make the difference. I think it'll be a bit of a sloppy game. It'll be close, low scoring, but give me the Jags.
I actually want to dispel a narrative there right quick. I actually think that Brandon Staley, all his faults considered, starting Mike Williams in his last game, stupid. For all of his stupid moves,
too.
All the stupid moves he makes one equally great move. I think he's been a neutral head coach, and I think the disrespect he gets is completely unwarranted. The way he played his games that were important to get him into the playoffs in the last 5-6 games of the season just went unnoticed. Why is that? I don't know. But it's fun to hate on Staley. It's fun to give credit to people that don't deserve it. It's fun to discredit people that don't deserve it. Brandon Staley deserves respect.
So I agree with Dylan there.
I'm going to hate on Staley one more time. These teams faced off at the beginning of this season, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Jacksonville murdered the Chargers.
Yep, that's correct.
They killed them.
Mm-hmm.
So give me Doug Peterson this coaching matchup, especially winning these last 5 games and 6 of their last 7. That's something that has to be noticed. Jacksonville has been on fire. I think they are the hottest team in the NFL with the exception of the San Francisco 49ers.
The Bills have won 10 straight.
But the Bills, everyone expected to win 15 games.
Doesn't mean they're not hot.
I take Jacksonville's hot streak. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I'll say about that.
They're on the 7-week.
I think in the playoffs, and Charlie, you're obviously completely entitled to say this, and I think obviously we all say it, but we go back to the matchup at the beginning of the season. When have we ever seen a matchup that's either a blowout or a team even like when do we ever see that repeat, right? Like I don't think we're gonna see Jacksonville go and blow out the Chargers. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Agree.
And again, obviously playoffs are much more conservative. Teams aren't, playing as freely, I guess, as you'd say, unless they're down and it's late in the game. But I do think it's going to come down to coaching, Dylan. And I think you know that. And I think, again, you know that. I'm not saying you didn't, but I think it's Doug Peterson. Obviously, sir, you said it perfectly. Flipped the shit for Jacksonville. And I think when I saw him sign with them, just, my knowledge about what he did in Philadelphia, I wasn't a massive fan of it, but what he's done with Trevor Lawrence is revolutionary to his career.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've seen Trevor Lawrence climb into that top 10 conversation. And I think, again, like you guys said, Jacksonville are hot. And I think that's so important going into the playoffs is being a team who is on a hot streak. Not only is it obviously your players are at the peak of their season, but also coaching wise. And I think this is a really tough one for me. I think Jacksonville go and win it. But, again, I think Justin Herbert, a guy who I haven't been paying attention, and not even paying attention, but just a guy who hasn't, you haven't seen much of Justin Herbert, not, a contender for that MVP race. But I think it's just a Jacksonville team that I find a little more consistent. And I think that that's what's going to carry them through in this game. And I think coaching at the end of the day, I think is that much more important in playoff games. And we know how, we know the experience obviously Doug Peterson has in playoffs. So I'm going to go for Jacksonville, but again, I think
if I could just finish up mine, I'm going to say, I think I could totally see the Chargers winning this game. I think this is going to be a really good game with 2 really solid teams. Neither team ready to make it to that Super Bowl push, but both teams that are worthy of this playoff spot based on how they've played this season. And I'm going to say, like, bold take right here, hot take totally, because we've got some great quarterback matchups in this first round. Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert might be the best quarterback matchup in this round.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a hard disagree here because Lamar plays Burrow.
Hey, hot take. We got Lamar and Burrow.
I don't know.
I take Trevor Lawrence versus Justin Herbert.
I like it. I think
I think he'll take Burrow and Lamar, but the way I think
it's
Lawrence has been one of the hottest quarterbacks in the league.
Lawrence and Herbert. I take Burrow over both Lawrence and Herbert, but I take both Lawrence and Herbert over Lamar Jackson right now. And that's a hot take, but Lawrence and Herbert are 2 of the maybe only 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the NFL that can make every single throw on the field. Every single one. That's a talent that not that many quarterbacks have, that Joe Burrow totally has it. Lamar Jackson does not have it. That's why I think this quarterback matchup is going to be so fun to watch. But as you guys said, it's going to come down to coaching. It's going to come down to how those teams are performing right now. And right now, there's no one better than the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm going to take the Jaguars.
And it's not even that. It's just the quarterback matchup because of how similar these 2 quarterbacks are. They're going to go toe-to-toe with each other because of, Trevor Lawrence coming out of college is like, oh, yeah, he looks like Justin Herbert. So I think it's kind of other way around. So I think, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting one. I think the quarterbacks, that's what's polarizing about this matchup. But we'll move on to the Sunday games, 1 p.m. Eastern. We have, I think, the easiest game to predict, and that's the 7-seeded Miami Dolphins facing the 2-seeded Buffalo Bills. Dylan, this isn't going to be close. Miami, unfortunately, I'll let you talk first. The Dolphins.
There's 2 outcomes that happen in this game. It's Miami plays an absolutely unbelievable game with a healthy Tua and plays Buffalo just close enough, but it doesn't work out and they lose in overtime, or Miami goes into this game with Teddy Bridgewater and loses by 30. So I'm going to opt for the Bridgewater option just because I don't think they're going to play Tua and Buffalo's going to kill them.
Or you go in with Skylar Thompson, which is also
Skylar Thompson will not be starting in this playoff game. There's very, very, very minimal chance.
I don't think so.
Teddy Bridgewater,
have two injured
Teddy Bridgewater
quarterbacks.
will play this game if Tua does not.
Yeah, but do you want a injured Teddy Bridgewater? With
I would rather an
injury?
I would rather an injured.
Yeah,
Teddy
I guess you would.
Bridgewater.
Yeah, I guess you would. I don't know. This one's very easy. I'm going Buffalo. I don't feel the need to kind of analyze this one very much. I think Buffalo are.
Well, I feel like I'm not doing the game justice by just saying Buffalo by 30. I feel like
you're doing the game justice.
You're doing
yeah,
I need to say why.
I
Just
think
for my
the
own
only
conscience,
reason that this could have be any closer is that they've played two close games this season. Buffalo came out on top in one. Miami came out on top in the other. But the Dolphins are also one of the coldest teams in the NFL. They're most likely playing without the starting quarterback.
I heard that Tua was going to play
this game going.
He hasn't.
I
he
heard
hasn't
that it's
cleared
possible.
any stages of his protocol yet. It's super fluid, and that could change tomorrow. He could be literally put in pads and play tomorrow, but more likely than not, he'll have to start getting first team reps on Thursday, which only gives him 2 days of practice.
But if we're being honest, even with Tua in this game, Tua's been riddled with injuries down the stretch this season. The Dolphins have been as cold as it gets down the stretch this season. I think the Bills will go into this game maybe expecting something a little closer because of the last two times they played, but they'll walk away with at least a 2-score win.
I think with Tua, it's a different game, and it's a very close game.
But an injured Tua who's been injured, I don't know.
But injured Tua has come back into games and he's won games. So
against
Buffalo,
Buffalo,
I don't think no matter how healthy Tua is, I think putting him in this game is just stupid. I think
it's not smart. They're going to lose this game no matter who their quarterback is.
You listen to your doctors, and if they say he's good to go, he's good to go. If they don't say he's good to go, he's not good to go. But
yeah, and I don't think he will be.
Hey, but knowing the Miami doctors, he's going to play.
It's
I
not
think
dispelling
honestly,
another
just
narrative
going
here.
about
Dispelling another narrative here. Hold up, Serge.
Hey, we do not want the narrative for this game.
I'm dispelling
All right, first let me
narrative.
just give you my prediction first. I think no matter I think Tua will play, but I think that still is a huge difference between him and Josh Allen. You're talking about a top 2, top 3 quarterback in the league and a top half quarterback in the league. And I think that is the difference in these types of playoff games. We saw it last year with the Bills Patriots, Josh Allen versus Mac Jones. What happened? The Bills blew them out of the water. I think no matter who plays quarterback, I think it's going to be a similar story there. Give me Buffalo pretty easily.
First off, that was super disrespectful to Tua. He deserves a lot more credit than top half.
Yeah, he's the number 1 lefty quarterback in the NFL.
I don't think
that's true.
Dropping a corn emoji in there. But I also would like to point out that Miami's doctors have done no wrong by Tua. The doctors of the NFL screwed over Tua. It was not Miami's doctors. It was not Miami's trainers.
My mistake.
We know. Okay. I think Miami are going to get blown out of the water. I think the Bills going into this one, and obviously this is, the extra motivation of DeMar Hamlin. I think they're going to, I think they're going to kill. Sure. I think they're going to kill Miami. I think Miami are going to get killed.
I'm not even gonna appropriate the narrative that Tua comes back and plays because I don't think it's gonna happen. So I'm gonna agree with you.
Yeah, I think they're gonna get killed, and it's unfortunate. I think the Dolphins obviously, and that being said, I mean the Dolphins obviously have the receivers, they have the firepower, but like Charlie said, down the stretch, this team has been very cold. I think that's the best way to put it. And we're talking about how consistency and obviously form going into the playoffs is vital. And unfortunately for the Dolphins, it's just not on their side. But
especially for a team like the Dolphins who are so rhythm based, it's knocked off.
And not only that,
and arguably you could also, another issue is that has McDaniel even been found out, because he is like, the offense has just not been kind of clicking the same way.
The answer to that is no. McDaniel has not been found out, because for every 3rd and 1 run he has that, or 3rd and 1 pass he has that gets slaughtered, he has one equally ballsy play call that works out and gets them a first down. Like take the 4th and 5 from his own 40 against the Jets last week, where he runs a pitch play where Skylar Thompson, it's like a triple option where he throws it like 10 yards laterally to Jeff Wilson, who just picks up the first down. you can't figure out a guy like Mike McDaniel, mostly because he's erratic, but also because he's a genius.
And that could be a positive and a
He's
negative in a big
crazy.
playoff game.
He is legit crazy, but it's a
Yeah,
crazy that I like.
it could be a big positive in a playoff game, but you know what else is a big positive? Having a starting quarterback, and let alone having
We're not
Josh
arguing
Allen.
this game anymore.
So,
Buffalo
yeah.
wins.
We'll move on to the next one, which is a much more interesting matchup as the 6-seeded New York Giants go to Minneapolis to face the 3-seeded Minnesota Vikings, a game that produced one of the best games of the NFL season, obviously Christmas Eve, until Greg Joseph destroyed and shattered Giants fans' hearts with that 61-yard field goal. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. But at least I'm hoping that the game's that close again. But Charlie, I'll go to you first as a Giants fan. What's your take on this one?
I think this will produce the best game of the weekend. This isn't even me as a biased fan. I think any logical predictor would say this, because the Vikings needed a game-winning 61-yard field goal last time out to beat the Giants, or else we would have been headed to overtime. The Giants played them extremely well. Daniel Jones is coming off the best game of his career against the Indianapolis Colts in Week 17. The backup Giants just held the Eagles to a 6-point game. And these are two teams that have had the most close games in the NFL this season. The Vikings are, I believe, 11-1 in one-score games this season.
I think 11-0. I don't think they've lost.
Okay, 11-0 in one-score games this season, which means they've been in 11 one-score games this season. Their points. The Giants are the exact same way. I believe Giants have a negative, well, maybe not anymore because of the Colts game. But the Giants are also very close to 0-point differential and are really, really good in close games as well. Do the math, like this will be a close game.
Of course, yeah.
I think whether the Giants pull it out and win one, whether the Vikings pull it out and win it, we're going to see an excellent game. And it's really hard for me to make this pick as a Giants fan. I think the Giants were one of the better teams to play against the Vikings this season. They gave them one of the better games that they've played. We've got a Dory Jackson back for Justin Jefferson. I know Jefferson tortures any corner that he plays against. I'm not saying otherwise, but last time out, Jefferson kind of ran wild against the Giants. A mild performance for Jefferson, but still had a very good game. Dory Jackson being in this game could change things slightly, but I will take the Vikings in a really close one.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you there. I think Vikings as well. And I think like I said, the reason why I think the Giants could easily pull off this upset, but whenever they're in a one-score game, the Vikings just have some magic that they always find a way to win, no matter what.
I mean, Giants almost too.
Giants almost too. It's just no matter what, even when they're on the brink of losing, there's no way the Vikings are going to win. Somehow they always win these one-score games. And the Giants, I don't think they have the capacity to blow out the Vikings. I mean, who knows? I mean, the Colts almost did before they were up there, before they blew a 33-0 lead. But I don't think the Giants are that team that's going to blow out the Vikings. And I think if it's in a one-score game, Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson are going to find it out. Very, very close game. I see this. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another Greg Joseph game-winning field goal, but give me the Vikings in a close one here.
Yeah, everything you guys have said, I agree with. It's going to be a close game. The Vikings have the magic in the close games. The Vikings go through and win in the close game. Here's the thing, though. Brian Daboll has had a couple of weeks in which he's probably thought that San Francisco and Minnesota are his opponents. And then he figured out 2 weeks ago when Minnesota lost their game to Green Bay that he's going to be playing against the Minnesota Vikings. He could take his tape from that week and see the few places that they missed out on points, and he can scheme up open receivers for Daniel Jones.
Hey, Daboll's a genius. Like he's been
Daniel
brilliant.
Jones has had, I think it was like 30% less open guys or something. It was something where he's never off schedule. And he always throws to his first and second reads, and Daboll just makes it perfect for him. And he's done an excellent job. No one ever thought that Daniel Jones would be the accurate type quarterback, but it's worked out. So my wrinkle in this is that Minnesota win these close games, but Daboll's going to find a way to say, we're not leaving these points on the board. We're taking 7 here, not 3. We're going to fix this. We're going to fix that, because the Vikings don't have a great defense.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to figure out ways to end the way that that's a terrible way of saying it. They're going to find a way to put points where they didn't exist prior to the game. So I'm going to go with, I guess what I'm saying is I'm going to go with the Giants.
Yeah. I don't know why you did. I'm going with the Giants as well. I think Dylan, I mean, really, you said it perfectly. I think Dable's the big difference here. And I think really, I don't know what else more to say. I think that film is going to be vital to them. And like you said, I think the Vikings offense is very stoppable. I think the Vikings offense is,
but I think Justin Jefferson is just
primetime Kirk Cousins.
But
Dylan also,
Justin Jefferson,
Kirk Cousins in the playoffs. Oh wait, I think there's very, very. I don't think this is like the Giants have so much to worry about. I don't think they have very much to worry about, and they have a lot of time to plan for it. I think my only problem with the Giants is, yes, the receiving core is not very good, but like you said, Daniel Jones has found guys open. Obviously, we have Saquon there. And then again, I've always never been a massive fan of the linebacking core. I think but I think
they've been playing well this year.
Yeah. And I mean more kind of in coverage, situations. Again, this is a very minor wrinkle. I think the defense has obviously been kind of schemed around that. I think Minnesota's offensive line is not very good. I think the Giants' defensive line, the way that they stun in defensive tackles, Dexter Lawrence has been absolutely phenomenal. I think this team is 100% capable of winning, and I don't think in any way, at all, the Vikings are clear favorites for this one. I think this game is very close, and I would even say to 50-50. I think the Giants have a good shot. And Charlie, I know the last time the Giants were in the playoffs, or, generally you see the Giants not being, even favored at all, but I think the Giants are 150% in this game from the get-go. And I think the Giants will come out on top.
Yeah. I think the biggest problem is simply that the Giants just don't have playoff experience.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Cousins has tons.
Kirk Cousins has 4 games in the playoffs?
Kirk Cousins has
but 4 games in the playoffs is a lot more than any Giants players, like all Giants offensive players combined.
No, John Feliciano has played in the playoffs before.
Dylan, there's no way you said that Dylan, there's no way you just said that trying to make a good point.
Yeah. So all skill positions, all of our skill positions. Take Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Kenny Galladay.
Richie James played in the playoffs for
How many times?
For San Fran? I need to see the games.
Like once or twice. Okay, but
it doesn't matter.
Regardless.
What do you mean once or twice? He was on San Fran. San Fran's been in the playoffs many times.
We know the Vikings have more playoff experience in the places that it matters than the Giants do.
But I think rare.
It's a big deal.
I don't think it's that much.
The difference is Brian Dable has a lot of playoff experience compared to Kevin Stefanski.
O'Connell.
Sorry, wrong name.
I wish it was Stefanski.
You know what? I'm just gonna fine. I'll take the Giants then.
There we go.
Like screw you, Dylan.
Yeah, Surge.
I picked the Giants too.
Okay. So wait, am I the only person who's picking the Vikings now?
That's crazy. Yeah. 3 on the upset.
Insane.
There we go. We all love New York.
I went into this thinking I was going to pick the Vikings, and then I convinced myself while I was talking to pick the Giants. So
I was ready to pick the Vikings, and then, my Giants bias.
Here we are.
There we go. All right, moving on to the next game. We have the 6-seeded Baltimore Ravens facing another divisional rival in the 3-seeded Cincinnati Bengals. Serge, I'm going to you first. What is your outlook for this one?
Yeah, I think another quarterback that may not play this week is Lamar Jackson. I think they're going to try to do everything to get him on the field. I think he will play, but I think either way, Cincinnati are winning this. They've been another team that have been scorching hot recently, and they have, I think, probably the best overall offense in the entire AFC. They've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Burrow, elite receiver Mixon, and an offensive line that's been improving down the stretch. And I think that's going to be way too much for the Ravens, who have a solid defense, but it'll be too much for them to handle. So give me Cincy here.
I'm with you on that one. I think Lamar Jackson, as you said, should play, and they're going to do everything in their power to get Lamar Jackson in this game. They have split games this season, but Cincinnati is getting hot at the right time. 8 straight wins, 10 of their last 11. I mean, come on. I'm not going to be the one who bets against Joe Burrow on this stage. So give me the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, but you're weird and you love Lamar Jackson.
I do love Lamar Jackson, but I also love Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the league. But I'm going to go with the Ravens here. I have it's a weird feeling I have, and I just think that Lamar Jackson's had enough time off. He's back. He's fully healthy. I think the Ravens are getting back to being fully healthy at the right time. I know they lost a couple of games at the end of the year, but they were able to win close ones. And divisional games are always close. So they go into this game well rested. The defense pretty good at the end of the year. The offense is the offense. They run their scheme and they run it pretty well. It's a stupid scheme, but they do a good job at what they do. And I think that defense is the right matchup against Lamar Jackson. So I'm going to go with Baltimore on a low score.
This is a tough one. I'm going to go Cincinnati as well. I think kind of as Charlie said, the Bengals are just kind of, they have the form there. Obviously the Ravens, I don't think
I agree. I think the Bengals are better. I really do. I just,
I don't
know what's
no, you're right.
The Ravens here. I just have that
feeling. That's why I picked the Seahawks. I think the Niners are much better, but again, it's a divisional game. They're two teams that know each other better than, anyone else in the NFL. And, again, I think it just comes down to Lamar Jackson. If he does play, it's a knee injury that always worries me. Even if he does play this game, how healthy really is he? So I'm going to pick Cincinnati just because I think, again, it's a Cincinnati team. We obviously saw Joe Burrow make that run to the Super Bowl last year, a guy who, again, like it was a great story. It was a guy, obviously coming off that ACL tear his rookie season and then comes and leads a really good Cincinnati team to the playoffs. But I think the Bengals win this one. But Dylan, like you said, I can see the Ravens winning this one. This one is definitely one of the closer ones of the weekend. And I agree. I think this might be one of the more low scoring games. And that's not even to say that either of these defense are particularly fantastic. Because Charlie, I think you're shaking your head. I think the Niners Seahawks game could be a very low scoring game as well. I guess on the Seahawks side of the ball, if the Niners play the game plan out well. But yeah, I'm gonna go Cincinnati here.
I think we could see a few low scoring games this round. Yeah. I could see Seahawks Niners being low scoring. I could see Chargers Jaguars being low scoring. I could see Bills Dolphins being low scoring. I could see Cowboys Buccaneers, which we haven't talked about, being low scoring.
Speaking
this
of
is not a game that I see being low scoring because the Ravens are going to struggle to stop Joe Burrow. I think we see at least 20. I'm being low scoring, but hey, it's very possible.
Divisional games tend to be low scoring.
But this isn't a divisional game; it's a playoff game, so it's
it's a divisional playoff game.
It's a divisional playoff game, but I think the playoff game is going to take is going to get the better of both of these teams, and the defenses will struggle a lot more than the offenses.
That's reasonable. All right,
there we go.
Next game.
Speaking of the Cowboys Buccaneers game, moving on to a Monday night game, which we don't often see, as we have the Cowboys, obviously 5-seeded Cowboys facing the 4-seeded Buccaneers, who are not the most convincing team, but it's Tom Brady in the playoffs and it's the Cowboys. And I don't think any of us are sold by Dak Prescott, especially after what we saw these past, couple weeks from him. This to me is the most boring game. This is the game where I'm not sure I'm going to watch the entire game. This one doesn't excite me. This one I think is going to be arguably one of the lowest scoring. And I think we're seeing two teams that I don't see making it past the next round at all. I don't think we see two contenders in this game. This one's a soft way to end the wild card weekend. But Surge, I'll go to you first. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think Dallas are a pretty good team, but they're going into this game kind of on the downturn, losing a game which they did not look convincing at all on offense against the Washington Commanders. But fortunately, they're going against the Bucs team that really, in my opinion, lucked their way to the playoffs. Not a good team at all, but we're a beneficiary of a terrible division. I don't really trust the Cowboys necessarily in playoff games, but I just think the Bucs are just, in my opinion, they're clearly the worst team remaining in the playoffs, and I think Dallas will take advantage of their superior talent on both sides of the lawn. I think they'll win this one.
Yeah, give me Brady over the Dallas choke artists every day. I mean, it feels like a media type take to say, and I hate doing that to agree with like the mainstream ESPN people because they're all stupid. I know more than them, but
like really we do though. Like honestly,
no, it's fully true. I'm not just saying this just to say this.
Like Skip Bayless is like
NFL media. It's just stupid.
And Shady McCoy, however he got a job in that. Shady McCoy talking about how Justin Fields should be replaced just like zero brain cells. Like that's
Emmanuel Acho, who I love some of his takes, but sometimes he's just brain dead.
Skip Bayless, who I find to be the most brain dead human being on the entire planet.
I think Skip Bayless.
He's one of the better ones.
No, he's not.
He's like the absolute worst one. But anyway, I'm bringing you a very old guy on ESPN take who loves Tom Brady and likes to hate on the Cowboys. So I'm gonna go Buccaneers taking down the Cowboys just because they've got that clutch gene. This is such shallow analysis. It makes me sound so stupid, but I'm just gonna go forward and say it. The Cowboys are frauds, and they've proven that through a couple of games. They barely beat a backup in the Eagles. They lost very convincingly last week to the Commanders, and that's to Sam Howell. And I just don't think they're that good. And I'm going to go Tampa because their defense is at least pretty good.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing that the Buccaneers have been able to do well this season, it's cap on mistakes. When you have a quarterback like, your team is generally good at capitalizing on mistakes. And Dak Prescott leads the NFL in interceptions this season. So I'm with you, Dylan. I think the Buccaneers are maybe not the better team, but the better team suited for this playoff position. They completely lucked out with facing the Cowboys, and the Cowboys completely. But I think if the Cowboys to any of the four teams that are currently holding a division leader spot, so I'm with you. I think the Cowboys are completely fraudulent this season. Dak Prescott's been nothing short of atrocious. I'm pretty sure. Like I think they look like a better team with Cooper Rush than Dak Prescott this season.
No, but that's an understandable take.
I think they did. Cooper Rush was, I think, 6-1 as a starter, and
Dak
Prescott has
he didn't play that many games. He didn't play that many games.
He played.
No, he did. He played good amount.
He played 5
at
games. I think
least
he was like
5
4-1. But no.
4-1's a whole lot better than Dak Prescott's 15 interceptions
Dak
in 11
Prescott
games.
easily clears.
I'm
Prescott
with
threw
Serge
over an interception. Okay, Prescott's the better quarterback. Yes,
and he's played better this year.
Cooper Rush,
yes.
I think, did better with the Cowboys this year than Dak Prescott did in the time he was given.
No,
I personally believe that.
No.
Dak Prescott's got over an interception per game, which is a horrible, horrible stat. I think he's the only quarterback in the league to have that, except for Davis Mills.
Davis Mills, man. What happened?
The
So disappointing. So disappointing.
I know.
It's just we're seeing Cowboys Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers got so lucky that they got the Cowboys. I think the Buccaneers lose to the Giants, and I think the Buccaneers lose to the Seahawks. But I think the Buccaneers beat the Cowboys this weekend.
Agreed. I don't really have much else to add on.
Can we just put out there that somehow they didn't flex this game into the 4:25 Sunday slot as
seriously?
America's football game?
Yeah, we don't know.
I'm shocked that they didn't do that.
That's true.
I mean, I'll take that slot. So
Yeah, we don't know. But yeah, I mean, I'm with. I literally couldn't. I think the media take is very. It's a good take. Sometimes mainstream NFL media has some good things to say, and I think they're spot on here. I think the Cowboys simply just don't have what it takes here. I think they're fraudulent, and I think they're more fraudulent now than in past years.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go for Tampa Bay here to end off our wild card predictions with a bang. But that will do it. Thank you all so much for watching. Kian McDermott, Purple Hoodie, Dylan Challam, Serge Kadali, Charlie Nidell. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you stay tuned. Obviously, divisional predictions, and then our AFC NFC Championship, and eventually the Super Bowl will be getting out some mock drafts. And then once all of the NFL is done, we are on to draft season, and you guys know how that works. We do a live stream for the NFL draft, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And obviously, we do off-season content on a variety of things. So make sure you all stay tuned. By the time that all rolls around, we should all be into college, so we'll have a lot more time. So the channel will be, shooting off videos. So make sure you all stay tuned. Dylan, I think you have something to say.
Last thing to say, yeah, two things. First of all, I think draft season is more fun than NFL season when we do these videos, just because we're more consistent in putting stuff out.
Make sure to check that out.
It works really well. I think we know what we're talking about. I mean, obviously I do, but I think you guys will too. And secondly, I'm starting a new series on TikTok. It's rebuilding every NFL team. So I'll get to your team eventually once they get knocked out of the playoffs. If you're lucky enough to have a playoff team, I did the Bears yesterday. I'm going to be doing the Texans and the Cardinals today. So those will be up on TikTok. Make sure to give us a follow. Be sure to follow our Twitter, Instagram, everything we've got. Appreciate the support. Love you guys. I'm out.
Thank you all so much for watching. What Dylan said. We'll see you next time.